All right, so good afternoon, Ottawa. This is Lunch Out Loud Ottawa, number 38.
2 more to 40.
Absolutely. So, of course, we're the podcast that talks about the people, places, events, and music that make Ottawa the incredible city that it is. And before we get to our guest, Councillor Mathieu Fleury, why don't we check this out?
Good average.
All right, so that was Boyhood, who you can see at 6 p.m. at the Arboretum Festival this weekend at the Arts Court. They were mentioned frequently through Rolf last week. That's Kaylee Runciman, and the song was Where I'm Going off her first self-titled EP. She has 2 albums now, and that's more of an experimental alt-pop.
I like it. I don't know. It sounds different, and different is good.
It's different, it's good, and it should be interesting.
For sure.
So, thanks so much for having us in your office, Matthew.
Well, I have to apologize. I didn't bring food for lunch. I should have.
I know, yeah. Well,
we've had quite a few just liquid lunch out loud, so
yeah. Well, you have coffee.
This is okay. Yeah, we got some coffee here. That's fine.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm full anyway, so it's.
And I have to say, we're in probably one of the nicest offices I think we've been in so far. No offense to Peter Hume or the mayor or anything, but this is quite a view that you got here, Matt.
Yes. Convention Center, Chateau Laurier, NAC.
Yeah. We're overlooking the craft beer festival that's setting up right now.
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be quite a few vendors, so if you're looking for something to do or something to drink this weekend, certainly come down to City Hall. It looks like there should be about, I don't know, I'm going to say about 20 different vendors out there or so this week. So
to cap an amazing week off, so it's been a lot of fun.
It was very popular last year, so I assume it'll grow once again this year.
Beer gets pretty popular.
I imagine.
It does. Pulls in quite a crowd.
All right, so we're with Mathieu Fleury, who is, of course, the youngest councillor at only 27 years old. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I am young, but we also have 5 of my colleagues that are over 75. So amongst my colleagues, we have to find the balance. I'm obviously the youngest one, but there's a couple under 40. I think we're 4 or 5 under 40.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible work.
But so you average it all together there.
That's right. It's
a
a
good
balance.
demographic.
It just goes to show you, anybody out there that's thinking of running or thinking of doing something for the city or passionate about the city, you can do anything you want.
No matter your age.
So you've lived in Ottawa all your life?
I grew up in Ottawa, right in the core of Sandy Hill.
Right.
All right.
Right beside the big machine that is the university, not far away. And yeah, I grew up there. Obviously, stayed most of my life there, but my parents divorced, so moved around in Old Ottawa South, Manor Park, but always kept one of the houses in Sandy Hill.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What were your favorite hangouts around there growing up or, into your university days?
Sandy Hill Park is where I played a lot of hockey.
It was at the outdoor rink?
At the outdoor rink. It was a really fun time because a lot of Gigi's players would come out.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd, pass this. We had like old wooden sticks, and they'd give us their sticks that they get from the university. They'd teach us how to play, but they would also bring the level of skill a little higher. So that was definitely one of the cool spots. There's also a community center that's not existing anymore off Chapel Street, St. Pierre Community Center.
Oh, okay.
There's a little parquet at the back there, and it wasn't a wading pool, but it was like a sequence of water things that we'd go. So when I was a really small kid, that's where we just hang out. There was play structures, there was water.
And it's not there anymore.
It's a park now. There's not the water features that it used to have.
Maybe a safety issue.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? The system might have broken. We have winters.
That is true, yeah.
When I was in university, I lived right across from that hockey rink at 141 Sweetland, so we went over there almost every single day. Great times.
Yeah.
Great times.
Good
Friday
memories.
nights, great Saturday nights, great views.
Lots of good outdoor puck here.
Absolutely. So what about now, when you're not going to many events during the week, where do you like to spend your time? Maybe new restaurants that you've checked out that you like? Or maybe even some off-the-beaten-path things that you'd like people to know about?
growing up in Sandy Hill, I don't go far from Fathers and Sons for breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still, in my view, one of the cheapest breakfasts in town, and it's good. But I've discovered new ones. I mean, I've discovered Bobby's Table on Montreal Road. It's the old staff from Nate's. So if you're from Ottawa, you remember Nate's Deli on Rideau.
Yeah.
When they closed up, a lot of the staff moved to Bobby's Table, and it's now grown into this really cool breakfast place, but they still have the smoked meat sandwiches, and it's a really cool spot.
Interesting.
I have to say I never heard of that one.
No, I'll check that
You'll
one.
have to try it out.
Sweet.
Any restaurants like at night or night spots or any other entertainment things you like to do?
I do a lot, and I visit a lot. I mean, I try to do. I've gone to every restaurant in the market for sure, because we try to. But I discover new spots everywhere, and I go to Westboro. Westboro is an example. Agave. I really like Mexican food, and there's a good Mexican in Byward. There's a new burrito place that just opened up on Rideau Street.
Yes, I haven't tried that yet.
Agave's got to be my favorite Mexican spot in Ottawa.
Check that out.
Yeah.
Great spot. I like that. What about off the beaten track activities? You're very active in sports. You're graduating with a degree in human kinetics. What about active spots? So we know about the Gatineau Hills. Is there any kind of hidden things that you
hidden
like
gems?
Yeah, hidden gems.
Okay, if you like dodgeball, if you like the movie and you like the atmosphere, Jack Purcell has a drop-in dodgeball on Wednesday nights.
Oh, really?
It's affordable, and it's a bunch of young adults just getting together, having fun. Like that to me, rings Ottawa. It's not just skating on the canal or biking or running around. There's really cool spots that you can do things that. I mean, Houtier Community Center is an example. Badminton on Wednesdays as well.
Yeah.
There's pick-up basketballs at Patro on Friday nights. Yeah. Those are the kind of things, when you grow up in the neighborhood, you find out, and they're really good social spots where people that live in the area or people that like the sport come down.
Yeah, and it's probably even a little more affordable than OSSC, where you're paying $12 per game. If you can't make out some of the games, you're losing $12 on that game. The drop-in is just perfect for that.
Yes, definitely. But I'm not knocking OSSC because
No,
I like OSSC.
not at all.
Yeah, I was just actually thinking we should interview them sometime.
I love they have
another alternative, because some
sure.
people, if they have work schedules and they're afraid of committing to those teams,
it
just shows you an alternative in the city.
I played in a league with OSSC a couple of years ago. It was called All Sorts of Sports.
Yes, I've done that.
They probably have it.
Oh, really?
It's fun because you don't have a friend. It's hard sometimes to find a group of friends that just like one sport.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when you play all sorts of sport, you play football, ultimate frisbee, soccer, and everyone can play volleyball. You can play one sport once, or twice.
Yeah. So they just play different sport. Like you meet up once a week and you play a different sport every week.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
So there's some people that are good or better one week than the other.
Yeah. So that's a lot of fun. So that's pretty good.
Cool.
So I guess to get into what triggered you for running, coming from an HK background, living in Lower Town, what was that trigger that you go, okay, I got to do this now?
There wasn't, there's not the magic thing, but what I can say is that I've always been, I like the city, I grew up here, or else I wouldn't be here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the type of mindset, I do what I think is best, and I do what I want.
For yourself, yeah.
Yeah, or else I don't do it, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people our age kind of have that mindset.
Changing a lot more.
Yes,
which is great.
Definitely. And when you look at the previous council, you look at major issues, a lot of negativity around the city. Mm-hmm. You remember Lansdowne, you remember the Green Bin, you remember Light Rail, you remember all the tight votes. People are opposed to each other, and it's we live in such a nice region and such a nice city. Why can't we look towards a common vision?
Yeah.
And that sort of mentality brought me to run. There wasn't a trigger necessarily, but that's the type of thing I wanted to be the one that we recognize what we're weak at, but we look to what we can improve. Yeah. That's kind of my personal vision, and I wanted to bring it to council. And I think the 10 new colleagues that we came along in the same election kind of feel the same way. So we overwhelm the previous councillors, and we bring that vision. And sometimes, sure, there's stuff we don't agree on, but we can still, if we lose a vote, we're not angry about it. We work towards a better city.
Yeah.
And it's, you remember issues in the past around, it's urban versus rural, urban versus suburban. Those issues exist, but you can still work it through and still have that common vision. And that's what I find. It was like that rhetoric, that old stuff, that old mentality, that old divisive elements were really tangled in the previous council.
Yeah, it's really hard going from the amalgamation, bringing in the different cities. So I guess it was a trial area, and now we're still working out the kinks, but it seems like it's possibly getting better. I know Livable Ottawa was an excellent testament to that, because you do talk about the rural activities, and they did have things at City Hall where you bring together people from the rural, from the urban areas. So that's good.
It's an asset to our city. I mean, we can't. Yeah. We're not just urban. We're a beautiful agricultural city as well, and we have to celebrate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're a small, big town.
Yeah, and we're proud of it.
Yeah,
we're not trying to be different.
Yeah, for sure.
For a young guy like you joining the council, was there some very good, helpful influences on council to phase you in, so you weren't going to be so nervous? When the older council were talking, so you would still raise your voice for your constituents? Definitely.
So in the community, there's been key leaders that have given me just a good tap on the shoulder and support, and just giving me advice. A lot of times you need to know history on files to better inform yourself. Yeah. But around my colleagues, there's not one person, but I can definitely say, the mayor has been very supportive in terms of helping me. I mean, there's key councillors, Peter Hume with planning, there's Mark Taylor with all the services that we offer in the city, Diane Holmes with all her experience. We share boundaries, so a lot of the issues are transferable. So, having her, she's been around municipal politics for over 28 years. She's able to mentor us in different files. Doesn't mean we agree on everything, but it means that she can offer what's been done or what's attempted to be done, and if it works,
because she has that common goal.
That's right.
Do you have relatives or anything, like fathers or anybody else in politics, or you just?
No, my grandma was. She's deceased now. She should be over 100 years old, but she was involved in politics at the time where we grew up as my mother tongue's French, obviously, and where services in French were, we didn't have schools, we didn't have healthcare, so she got involved in politics to make sure that my parents would have school and the services were there. I think it's a different era today, but no, I don't come from a political family. Yeah. I'm not the Kennedys.
Right on. With the future in 30 years when we're still doing this show, we'll be talking to the Fleurys.
The Fleurys. What about Fleurys? You related to any of the famous hockey players?
I wish. I don't know if I'd want to be
Theron Fleury
or Marc-André, because they've both had their successes and their failures in hockey, for sure.
Yeah, we'll see that, so I guess we'll take a quick break now, and then we'll get back and we'll talk about issues in basically three of the biggest wards, or about three of the biggest areas. Neighborhoods, Vanier, the Market, and Sandy Hill. So we like to talk about a little bit of what's going on in each of them and what we can do differently.
And let's talk about that 52 sports.
And then, of course, the 52 sports in 52 weeks.
Oh, intrigued, huh?
Yeah. You'll want to hear about this one. So stay tuned. We'll listen to one more song from Boyhood. This is As a Fog. Of course, Arboretum Festival tomorrow night. So that was, once again, As a Fog from Boyhood. And so we're here with Mathieu Fleury, the youngest councillor, the councillor for the Rideau-Vanier area. That's the name of it, right? The ward?
The best ward in the city.
I'd say so, yeah.
And one of the most exciting, for sure.
Definitely.
There's so many changes coming here in the coming years with the LRT, and a lot of topics are making the news.
Sure.
Specifically, we'll start in Sandy Hill. You're seeing a huge trend of developers, small-time developers, that are wanting to maximize profit from rents. And so a lot of them are gutting those homes on Nelson. They want to get to Henderson.
There's been some conversions for sure. Sweetland, Russell, Scene, Chapel. I mean, there's about 15 major conversions that have happened. And where you're going is it's led us to use a tool.
So if you would like to explain the tool and I guess your conversations with Action Sandy Hill and
for sure,
and possibly where this could be heading.
So Action Sandy Hill has been a really good group for us. They're on the ground. They want to work with us. It's not just an advocacy group. They're really engaged. And the example is Town and Gown. So we formed a committee with the university and key city stakeholders that meet on a regular basis just to talk about issues. Some of them relate to student specific, and some of them relate to like how the city does business in that area. Garbage pickup, for example, or bylaw, how bylaw goes around. And when does it go, and how should it better our service? Relating to development, what we've noticed is there's, under the current rules, so in that area, most of the zone is an R3 or an R4 zone. That's a residential designation. And what we've noticed is that there's single-family houses, very old, red brick, you've seen them in Sandy Hill, that have... when you look at the front, the lot doesn't seem that big, but they have huge backyards.
Yeah.
So people have bought these properties and are now filling the backyards. In some ways, it's the way we want, because we want density to come to the core.
Yeah.
But in other ways, it's been a bit of an extreme. And I'll give you an example. In a single family, let's say, I'm going to use a big family. Let's say 7 to 8 members in a house. That's fine in the typical Sandy Hill house you find. But if all of a sudden you create 16 bedrooms or more, then the activity around that lot has changed, right? Where you put your garbage, where people park. The noise is completely different. Yeah. So, we want in many ways to meet our targets around intensification and density increases in the core. But at the same time, we want to protect the existing house and the single family that's been established in that mature neighborhood. So 3 documents come into play here. Infill 1, which was a study of setbacks and of how these mature neighborhoods are going to change through redevelopment. Infill 2 is around height and front and rear yard setbacks and soft landscaping. So how much soft landscaping is on a property? And I'm sorry I'm getting technical. I don't know if it's relevant.
No, that's good. That's perfect.
And the third one, what we've done, and that's the ultimate tool I was speaking about earlier, is we've put an interim control bylaw. Yeah. That's the ultimate planning tool. Basically, it stops anything from happening.
The new applications.
And it says we are acknowledging we need to review zoning.
Yeah.
So we're doing a research, an analysis of where the zoning is going to land. Things we know, and I'm going to be very generic. Before amalgamation, Sandy Hill did not see the pressure it had in terms of conversions. Since amalgamation, zoning's changed and zoning has evolved, but we're noticing extremes. We like some of the conversions, but some are extreme. So how do we prepare for the future, and not necessarily stopping redevelopment, but initiating the type of redevelopment that's needed? So we're walking a fine line, and that report, the Infill 2 and the interim control bylaw review will come in the fall, and where we're at is still in the research phase. So we're still working with the community and seeing what's the appropriate zoning for that area. That said, the angles the pressures come from the university, and they come from student housing. I was part of the double cohort. The year I graduated high school, there was a grade 12 and grade 13 OAC that graduated.
Yeah.
So there's a mass of students that have come to university in Ottawa. That's great. We love the student atmosphere, the diversity. But because they haven't built new student res on campus, it's put a lot of pressure in neighborhoods, mainly Sandy Hill. So how do we relieve that pressure? Well, we ask the university to build on-campus student res. We continue the UPass program, and we build a ped bridge at the end of Somerset at Strathcona Park, just to allow students to live outside the neighborhood and, again, continue the diversity that Sandy Hill is.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be hard. You grew up in Sandy Hill, so you've seen the transition over the years, I guess, with more and more students coming.
It's changed.
But I know it's got to be hard for people that have been in that neighborhood forever, and just consistently more and more students, and with students comes a little bit of noise and some parties here and there, and eventually, that's it. So eventually, those people either move away, or they just end up renting out their spots anyway. It's kind of tricky. Like
Sandy Hill residents and Ash love students. They have nothing against students. Where it becomes problematic is you get specific addresses that are problematic. You get a group of students that's problematic, and then it kind of flares up into a bigger student discussion, which brings a sour taste to the student living.
Yeah, especially if you're doing 16 rooms and they're all 16 people that don't know each other. So you're going to get 16 different things. They could have friends, so that 16, they all bring 3 friends each over that night. So there is a lot of things.
Well, that's it. So under the current, like you said, under the current zoning with the residential, most homes there are stuck, or most buildings or whatnot are 5 units or less, right?
Right.
Or 4 units or less, I guess.
Right.
5 units would be commercial either way.
But they're doing it indoors.
Well, that's what I mean. Now they're starting,
Yeah.
big rooming houses, so to speak.
That's right. You touched on it. It's like the conversions have transferred to rooming house, but they don't fit in the City of Ottawa's rooming house definition. So we're reviewing zoning and the definition of rooming house, because if it is that model of rooming house, there's different rules.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I mean, it's a licensed area, and what that does is it gets a yearly review from public health, from fire services. That brings in an entire element of the city operations, which we're not seeing right now under these conversions.
Gotcha.
Interesting. So I guess
so what about
next year in the market?
Yeah, let's talk about Rito.
A lot going on.
Yeah,
in the market.
so in the recent last Saturday's newspaper, there was a lot about the parking situation. There was also a lot about the future of the market could possibly be bleak with the condos, restaurants, bars. It's transitioning away from people come to go to the markets and everything like that. So
so just for our listeners that might not have followed the entire file, we hired a consulting group out of New York. They're called Projects for Public Spaces. They've done 1,000 studies of markets in and around North America, Europe. They're unreal. What they've done is they're the experts on markets. Mm-hmm. So we brought them in. We asked them to come and do a review. They came back and told us, City of Ottawa, you know what? You need to evolve your model. Let me explain. The market management, so the farmers' elements of the market, is run through a bylaw. And that bylaw is this almost, there's been changes, but it's the same structural thing as it's been for over 100 years.
Yeah.
We can't function the same way. So when we talk of a renewal and change, like what the pieces were in the Citizen, are really speaking of that transition. How do we transition from a model of a physical bylaw that's very restrictive, very procedural aspects, to something that's more friendly? So how can we bring a non-for-profit farmers association that self-manages? Mm-hmm. We set up a framework. We establish where they're going to, between the George Street and York Street on Byward, where can they be, how they set up, and then they orchestrate what's their fee, But what we've discovered through that is the other element. And people often neglect what the market is. I mean, the market is what it is between Rideau, Sussex, King Edward, Murray-ish. Mm-hmm. But the farmers market is really a defined area on York Street, on George, on Byward, on William. What we learned from PPS is that you don't make money off farmers markets. What you make money off is the building. So the subsidy, so the building subsidizes the farmers. Mm-hmm. But right now, they're two separate entities. One is regulated by a bylaw, and one is a city asset that we rented out basically to a P3 to manage until 2017. And that's historic. They're at the end of their 20-year contract. So we're reviewing that entire structure and other elements such as parking, such as business, new facades, business mix. All these things are coming into play and make the debate a wider one than it really should be, because we need to prep the market for 2017, for 150th anniversary of Canada, and elements like that will come into play and really evolve how the market, because it's in transition. We're not hiding that.
Yeah. Well, is there any plans for any public consultations to see input from the city or input from the residences coming up that are on paper yet, or is that possibly coming up in the new year? Or?
PPS hosted a series of 4 to 5. They did a walkabout. They hosted a session with various stakeholders. They opened it up to the community. It was really well absorbed. We were there, so the city stakeholders were there. We got key comments. I mean, we're open once we really set out the short-term, long-term vision for the market to once again get feedback. We're not trying to shove something that people don't want. Actually, what we're trying to do is evolve it, because we know that Westborough's thriving. We know that Lansdowne's coming in the queue. We want the market to be stable. They're not necessarily competing against each other, but they can all be assets to what this beautiful city is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And, of course, the last one, Vanier. Very interesting neighborhood for sure.
Yeah, there's been talks about it being cleaned up for the last 10 years probably.
Yeah, for a long time. So it's still in a development change. We still want it to be a vibrant part of the city. There's new condos going up there, great new condos. Beechwood's doing new ones, of course.
Well, I was going to say, I think the best thing for Vanier right now is that the Beechwood area is, thriving so much now, and it's growing up so much that it's just going to spread street to street.
Yeah, with the Minto and Domicile projects, it's really bookmarking Beechwood. So Beechwood seems to be on a course for success for redevelopment. In the neighborhoods, in the neighborhood itself, you look at Saint-Ambroise, Alice, Charlevoix. Those are all streets that have been, renewed, if you will. A lot of new facades, a lot of new families, new immigrants, new comers to the city have come there, which is good. It gave a new energy to that street. The one we're more worried about is Montreal Road.
Yes.
And Montreal Road between North River and Vanier Parkway, we know the renewal is coming because the Eastview Plaza, there's a big project there. There's, that Tim Hortons going to renew itself, and that will bookmark that portion. But between Vanier Parkway right up to Saint Laurent, including the car dealership site that's now empty, there's a lot of opportunity, but we haven't seen the full renewal that it needs. And what I mean by that is, the pawn shops still exist, the money marts. And we notice in areas where there's a renewal, those types of businesses get pushed out because the rents are too high, because the business is not the same. So those types of businesses establish themselves where there's a demand. If the community becomes really friendly, really family oriented, really newcomers, those businesses will change, and that will change the scape of that main corridor, Montreal Road.
And that's one of your visions going forward?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
We're working internally to the city, and I'm not hiding that. I used Rito as an example in our previous conversation, where we're doing all of the underground utilities to give it a new streetscaping, and that will bring Rito to the level it should be. Montreal Road and Beechwood are actually in a problem because all of their underground work is good for the next 50 to 100 years.
Okay.
So I need to find capital dollars to get streetscaping. So we need to work on two fronts. One on the actual neighborhood, livability, access, and all those fronts. But at the same time, we need to actually invest on the streetscaping.
And absolutely. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
Me too.
Lots of stuff. Now, let's get to it. 52 sports in 52 weeks. What brought you to do this?
I'm a sport guy.
Yeah.
I wanted to rediscover the sport community in Ottawa. Hockey, soccer, swimming, whatever. I knew the basics, but I didn't think outside the box. So what I wanted to do was challenge myself to discover 52 different sport clubs, different sports in Ottawa, and share that with our community. And at first I was worried because I was like, should I just do my own neighborhood and be worried about what my colleagues think? And then I said, forget it. I went to Canada. I did the Nordique.
Well, I would assume to find 52 sports, you gotta look around a little bit.
You gotta look. There are, and there's more than 52. It's just
that's crazy.
You want to make them relevant, right? You don't want to just share a club that you don't believe. So I always learn about the club. I learn about the membership. We do a promo basically. I go and try the things because I haven't done 52 of the sport. I'll give you an example. Where this Friday we're taping cricket. I've never played cricket.
Are you going to the
Me neither.
grounds?
I've never.
Yes.
We need to do that.
Where?
The
Governor General's.
Governor General's.
Yes. I saw them playing cricket there last summer. I think
Looks
when
like
I went
such
there.
a fun time.
Field hockey.
Yeah.
I did sledge hockey. I want to do sports that are not your typical hockey. You do something a bit different. One of the ones that I discovered, and it's mainly for seniors, but it's really picking up in California, is pickleball. Yeah. It's a mix between badminton, ping pong, and tennis. It's played on a badminton court with a tennis net and with a wooden racket and a wiffle ball. Discover it. I'm telling you, it's not your tennis extreme in cardio, but it's got some fitness component. And if you're good at spinning the ball, you could really give it a pretty cool effect.
Yeah, it sounds. So where can you play that? The pickleball.
You can play in a community. So there's a program that started out in Ottawa South. It's at McCarthy Community Center.
Okay.
Off Hunt Club. So I know they play on weekdays at 10 o'clock. I don't know which day again, but we need to grow the program.
Yeah.
Oh, you might say.
I think me and Nick will have to go try it out.
As soon as this, I'm going for surgery for my ACL ACL and meniscus in a month, and then hopefully I can come back.
So you're not going to join me for the 52 and 52?
I can't. I wish.
Well, so how long ago did you start it?
I started April 16th of this year, so we're going right up to 2014, April 16th So if someone wants to join us or recommend,
do you have like a
some
website
sports,
or a Facebook page or something that you have?
find me on Twitter.
Just on Twitter. You've been updating it there.
You should set up a Facebook page or something.
I have for the 52.
Yeah.
We have a Tumblr page. So if people want to see exactly every sport we've done in the videos, it's my name. So it's Mathieu the French way, Fleury Fleury, and you can find me on Twitter or on my Tumblr page. And if you have any sports to recommend me,
that's awesome. I did a trampoline already.
Oh, I haven't done trampoline.
Because I know there's a lot of new ones. I know there's one big trampoline spot right on Conroy. Yeah, right off of Walkley and Conroy.
I saw the big ad. I was there.
The trampoline
recently.
dodgeball. That's
a sport?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow, where?
Yeah.
Trampoline dodgeball.
Okay.
That sounds fun.
I don't know exactly. It's going to be great. It just sounds like a broken knee for me.
Yeah, that's
injury prone.
The worst. This was the worst summer for that ever. Anyway, so thank you so much, Matthew.
Thanks a lot, man.
Best of luck running again next year. Are you going to be running again for next year?
Definitely, I'm looking forward to once again going out and because we do door to door. But I mean, when you do the 26,000 doors, it gives you a different feel, a different experience.
I bet.
But we're looking forward to it.
That'll be a lot of
So
fun.
what do we got going on this weekend?
Events, of course, the Arboretum Festival. I'll be volunteering there tomorrow night. And then Saturday night will be great as well.
Yeah, we got the National Craft Brew Week, like we said, right down here at City Hall.
We got Beach Bash, which is another music festival going on at the Westboro Beach. It's a free event all day Saturday. Great local bands, great vendors. It's on a beach, and the weather's looking amazing for this weekend, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's good. Hip Hop Karaoke's at Mugshots on Friday.
If
you're going to be at the Arboretum Festival is going to be going on all around there. You can step on into Mugshots too.
You got Greek Fest. Greek Fest always a great
I've
time.
never been to Greek Fest, but I hear it's amazing.
You're missing out.
Yeah, I hear it's quite a time.
13-15 Prince of Wales. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, you can't miss it. You drive down Prince of Wales.
The Pride Parade, is that on Saturday or Sunday?
It's Capital Pride Week.
It's Capital Pride Week, so the parade's the weekend after?
Yes, and there's a special parade this weekend in Vanier. It starts on Montreal Road at 1:00
on
Saturday.
On Saturday.
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
All right. So you got Kids Sport Ottawa is hosting the 3rd annual beach volleyball championship at Britannia. So that's something else.
A lot going on.
A lot at the beaches, eh?
If you heard crazy explosions going on last night, we weren't going to war. That was the fireworks happening at Casino Lac Lamy. It was Denmark. It was amazing. But Philippines on Saturday night will be amazing as well.
How much longer is that going on? That's the Festival of Lights.
I think there's 2 more. Yeah, it is Festival of Lights. The last one's on the 24th on that Saturday.
Right on. I've never checked those out either. I bet you those are pretty good.
It's a lot of fun. You need to come down for
you should.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal time.
South Asian Fest is this weekend too?
South Asian Fest at Confederation.
Yeah, on the 17th, and then Ottawa River Queen tomorrow the 16th.
I was on the webpage for the South Asian Fest, and I couldn't believe 25 different shows over the weekend.
Yeah, it's astounding.
It's big.
I started writing down things that we could talk about, but yeah.
This is one of the busiest weekends of the year, by far.
Yeah.
By far.
And I'd never even heard of the South Asian Fest until now.
It's their 6th edition.
And I mean, they got tons of stuff. They have like a Midway Park set up. They're going to have like Bollywood performances,
and all the good
henna
food.
Tattoos, tons of good food.
Affordable food.
Yeah.
Capital Velo Rally is going on, the cycling the streets of Ottawa. I think that's on the Saturday or Sunday. So that's a big bicycling community of Ottawa. So, another question before we go. Any committees that you're looking to join possibly for, coming up in the future?
Well, I've always been... so when you break down the city budget, operationally, Community Protective Service, which I'm on already, is 51% of the operational budget. So that's been my focus. I'm obviously an old staff in the city. I grew up in Parks and Rec playing, in pools. So I put a lot of attention into that one. I mean, I'd like to put more attention into crime prevention. Mm-hmm. There's a committee that I'd like to go on, but I mean that's sometimes deal brokering with my colleagues. But
how's our city doing for crime? I mean, we've been growing pretty good over the last couple of years.
The rates keep dropping.
That's good.
But that said, I mean, there's still flare-ups in some neighborhoods. I mean,
obviously,
we're not hiding the fact. Close to the McDonald on Rideau Street is one of their highest spots for crime.
Probably
well
between
reported
2
by the
a.m.
Sun in the past couple of months.
Yeah.
We monitor it. We try to do a better job. We have police on the ground. You've seen them walk the beat. I mean, that's the challenges of a big, small city.
That's it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So thanks so much. Next week we have Max Keeping.
Oh,
There you
So
go.
that'll be a lot of fun.
United Way King.
There we go. And then we got Kurt Studley the week after because he just recently left CTV Morning.
I wonder what he's going to do now.
Well, we're going to break the news.
Yeah.
You'll have to listen.
I'll have to.
You'll have to listen to more episodes.
All right, we got one more
thanks so
song
much.
coming up here.
Yeah, one more song. It's called Thailand, an incredible country I spent way too long in from Boyhood. So we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Later.
Bye.